Business, a person's occupation, profession, or trade. Connection, a relationship in which a person or idea is linked or associated with something else. Welcome to Business Connection. Each week, our program will offer inspiration to navigate the business world. Information you can use to succeed in any field. And we will help you focus on your goals. Join us now for Business Connection with your host, BC Clark.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Business Connection. I'm your host, BC Clark. As you know, I interview business owners across the state and some out of state as well. But today my guest is Ryan Brackett.
Correct.
Ryan has multiple businesses, and today he's going to share a little bit with us about some of the businesses that he has, how he got into this, and what it's like being a small business owner. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Good morning, BC. How are you?
Excellent. Excellent. So talk a little bit about, so when did you first become a small business owner?
I think always I've had some sort of entrepreneurial spirit. Mm-hmm. I grew up, as far as back as I can remember, being a little kid, going out and like sweeping driveways for a few dollars and things like that, selling baseball cards. Yeah. But really getting seriously into it, I think probably around 2012.
Okay.
I had an opportunity to enter into the foreclosure business.
Yes.
And so that just kind of propelled me into what I do now, which is I have a lawn and landscaping business.
Okay.
And then I also have a new construction and commercial cleaning business as well.
Oh, okay. Mm. Great. So now, when you first started that, what were some of the things that you did to put your business, right, on the right path? Because, when we start out, just to tell you a little bit, I started out, well, let me put it this way. My father threw me into his business when he owned a gas station, and I just went into the 9th grade in school. I hated math with a black passion. And he came in one day, he said, "You're going to do my books." And I looked at him like, I said, "What books?"
Right.
And he said, "The books from the gas station." I said, "You want me to do your books?" I said, "Now, I don't like math, right?" "I know." I said, "You also know that I hate math." He said, "I know." And I said, "And you want me to do your books?" And he said, "Yes." And so I said, I was just disgusted at that moment.
Right.
So I didn't like him for like several years. I did not. It was really bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how I got into it, but I didn't know I was into it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but over years, every time I would do any kind of aptitude test, it would show a strong business spirit, a sense of business, And
Right.
I was like, I don't want to do business because I had that bad. So I'm just wondering, so was there something that maybe propelled you in your small business to say, you know what, I really want to get into this?
Yeah, I used to I was involved in the Painters Union here in Omaha, and it's a smaller union. And there's a lot of, with the unions, there's a lot of favoritism that comes with that.
Sure.
And I was exceeding quite quickly, but staying in the same position. Other people were getting those promotions and things like that. And, being an apprentice doing journeyman work and not really receiving the accolades and the respect and the raises that come with all that, I kind of just left that. And one day I was cleaning up my grandmother's house, and a lady from MP Dodge, a real estate agent, stopped by and was in awe really of the cleanup. And so she asked me if I was interested in doing any more work, and I said, well, let's try it.
Yeah.
Gave me a small budget, and she went on her honeymoon and came back, and the houses that she gave me were had sold while she was out. So that kind of just sparked a little bit of enthusiasm with me. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then she gave you a chance, because that is a business to be in, because they are always looking for people, because a lot of them buy them houses that other people, you know what I mean? And so no, that's good. I think that a lot of times though, you jump into a business and You didn't do everything like they say you're supposed to, right?
Right.
You know, you have a business plan first, you have a foundation, you do all this stuff. How many of us actually do that? I mean, it's getting better now, but I can tell you that 90% of the clients that I have, never even looked at a business plan. They don't know what a business plan looked like.
Right.
Until they encountered me, and I was like, where are you going from here? You know, and they're already in business 3 years. I said, where are you going? Well, I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing. I said, that's not going to work because every year things change. So that's not going to work to keep doing that. And I said, how about we do a little brainstorming, you know, to get them into that and then talk about the components of the business plan and why it's important. But so that's really kind of my story for like the last 25 years, going in and helping people get to where they need to be. A lot of times they're in a stuck mode of doing, and a lot of times until someone says to them, we need to do something else, that thing is going fast. Oh, never mind. So anyway, so tell me a little bit more about the rest of your businesses.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because I didn't know how to scale or even reinvest back into the business. When I started my lawn care business, it was I purchased a used lawnmower from a garage sale, used equipment, and I really thought that I was making money. I was profit, and it wasn't until a gentleman who I was doing work for pulled me aside, like you were talking about, and just kind of asked me. He came out and asked me to bid his property, and I did, and he said, I'm more than willing to pay you that, but what you're bidding is far underneath what you. And it wasn't by like $100; it was several hundreds of dollars. So I completed the property, and he gave me what he thought it was worth. After that, he pulled me aside and kind of taught me the ins and outs.
Did a little mentoring,
right?
Yeah.
And so I really appreciated that because had I not come across him, I probably would have been really selling myself short as a business owner.
And that's what happens when you don't know, you know, at least the facts. I always say it's something I didn't learn early was the facts of math. That's why I hated it so bad.
Right.
You know, if you don't know what the formulas are, it's very hard to build on it. And so that's the one thing that I champion more than anything is those individuals who are just getting out and saying, oh, I know everything.
No, you don't.
And you could talk to them for 5 minutes and you realize that they do not have a clue. I know everything my daddy taught me or my mother taught me. I watched her do this. I said, it's not the same. When your mama was doing this, cost was way down.
Right.
I said, now try to do what she did and you'll never make it. And then they stop for a moment and they kind of look like this woman is talking about something, I don't know. But anyway, you know, I think that the problem is that with a lot of the businesses that fail, and I learned this early on working with the Small Business Administration and SCORE, business would fail before that 5-year mark. When I kind of met some of the people that had been in business, and this was a statistics worldwide that they had, but when I started meeting with clients through SCORE and SBA, I realized that most of them didn't have any kind of plan after 3 years.
Yeah.
They did a 3-year strategic plan and they just threw numbers together. It wasn't anything to do with their products or services. No. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so they were just guessing on what it could be or what it, they didn't have a clue. And most of the times they were underselling themselves.
Absolutely.
Because they didn't know, and if you haven't started a business and don't understand what a pro forma is, then it's very hard for you to even understand what you should be making.
Right.
And that's the first thing a lot of people ask me, what should I charge for this? And, I used to kind of like, and I was like, well, let's sit down and let's see. What does the product cost? What are you going to sell the product for?
Right.
Well, how many do you plan to sell? Well, what do you need to know all that for? I said, well, number one, if we're going to get to what you would want to make for a month, we need to find out what you're selling, how many you sell a week, a day, and whatever. And we add all that up. We can come up with an amount that you expect to get a month for the products that you're selling. Oh.
Yeah.
That's an aha moment. Well, some people take it and it was like, oh my God, I had no idea. Yes, well, why are you throwing numbers together? They don't make any sense. To me, there's a root to everything. And if you don't know what the root is, how do you get to, what path are you taking to go?
Right.
Are you just starting off running?
Right.
Nothing happening? So, in my days of just going through a lot of that, I've seen a lot of people fail. And then I always go to them and say, Well, it's not that you failed, you just didn't know what you were doing. So what if we get a little bit of training, let's get a little bit of mentoring, let's kind of revamp what you did, and let's move forward. And a lot of those businesses now can stand on their own 2 feet and understand, and when they have a problem, they can come and ask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's things like that that I think that businesses don't get.
And I think, to add to that, I think some people are afraid to ask for help. I know in my experience, being young and wanting to be the glamorization of owning your own business sounds so great until you actually get into it and have to understand that you are the marketer, you are the person, you fund everything. Yeah, you wear every single hat. And it takes a lot of, as resilience and dedication and even discipline, because I'll say this, there are times where I was like, the season would end for me around this time of year.
Yeah.
And my body's beat up and, like, do I want to continue to do this? And it took me probably 5 years just of resilience to build the business.
Of course.
To become profitable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so when you're talking about failure, I think when people don't see that growth is when they become discouraged.
Yep.
And it completely throws off the mentality and the mindset of what entrepreneurship actually is.
Yes.
So you have to, there's that learning curve, and you have to get beyond that to actually really feel fulfilled as a business owner.
Absolutely. You got it. Absolutely. And I think the problem is that fear plays a big part in entrepreneurship in so many different levels, even in the executive level.
Right.
I have executives that will call me up and say, can you come, let's meet, and I'm like, oh, what are we going to meet about? I'm not, and they'll be saying, I called you because I didn't want to say this to anybody else. And I know that, you're a woman of integrity. I know that, I know what stuff you do, but I'm having a problem with this. And so it's fear, no matter what level of business you're in.
Oh, yeah.
Of somebody finding out you don't know something.
Right.
And to me, what I want to say is that that's the worst position to be in when you don't know and you're afraid to ask.
Right.
And so I think sometimes pride is in there.
Oh, yeah.
And pride is a killer.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So you cannot, do that if you're trying to get somewhere. And I always tell people, I said, sometimes we have to, lay down the things in front of us and realize that we're human. And there was people that you see now, maybe that's an executive, was in this spot one time before, and somebody, he heard something or he saw something, and it changed where he was going.
Right.
And when you say that to somebody, they think, oh, well, okay, if he did it, then, maybe I need to ask. And I did a tour. I did a complete conference on fear. And it was all women. We had 60-some women, and I did it twice. I did it in August. I think it was in August of 19. It was 19, yes, August of 19. And then they was like, oh, you got to do another one. You got to do another one. And then we did it again in October. I mean, it was and we had just as many people or more. There were people crying and stuff because fear comes in many different ways. And people don't realize, even when you're afraid to succeed, you're afraid to fail. I mean, fear.
Yes.
And if you don't get a handle and understand that fear is a smokescreen.
Yeah.
You're going to either fail forward or you're going to fail, period.
Completely right.
And so, they have all these things, but I said, you can't, it doesn't make sense. So I had I had mental health therapists there. I mean, and we really worked out fear. And people still saying, when are you going to do one of those again? That was so good. Because, people don't realize that fear is real.
Right.
It is real. But the things behind it is not.
Right.
Because to me, the only way you can get through something is to go straight through it.
Right.
Yeah. And so if you're not doing that, then you'll never get to the other side. How are you going to grow? If you stay where you are stagnant, you can't grow. If you're complacent, you can't grow. And if you hold on to that stuff, you'll never get anywhere.
Right.
What was one of the biggest struggles that you had in your business? And it could be early on, even now, because now people are struggling right now with business.
Well, now I've been the commercial side of it, the cleaning and I've been doing that for probably 20 plus years.
Yeah.
The lawn side of it, landscaping and things, I've been in that for roughly 13 years, something like that. You get to a point where, at least for me, I start to question, where do I go from here? What opportunities do I have that I've created for myself, that could either send me one direction or the other?
Yeah.
I know. I think and so with that being said, I think the biggest difficulty that I have encountered is finding legitimate help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And with being a solo operator and still being able to manage two successful businesses takes a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I could have, let's just say, for the lawn care business and the landscaping business, just in the with the amount of business and customers, clientele that I have, I could have easily doubled or maybe even tripled had I been able to acquire legitimate help. Now, I've had people come and work for me, and I pay them pretty well and things.
Yeah.
I think some people just, the work ethic, to me, in my opinion, over the last several years has declined a lot.
It's been over 5 years that it's been declining.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. And those are real stats.
Yeah.
Because actually, once the pandemic hit,
Right.
after the pandemic, people were so stressed out and took on so many different roles and everything. Now, most of them, because the workforce did decline, and people, they don't say anything, but it did. People said, okay, I'm gonna do my own business.
Right.
Okay, so a lot of people start doing their own business. The other thing is that even 3 years, 4 years after the pandemic, they're still saying, oh, it was COVID. No, it isn't. People just decided they don't want to work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, really, people just like, I'm not going to work. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And the thing is that the government is not supposed to take care of you. You need to be able to take care of yourself. And I won't go there.
If I was just a little bit onto that, I had a couple people come to me back during COVID and just kind of make ridiculous comments about, I make the government, I make so much from the government. And I'm like, well, you're not making anything from the government. It's you're being forwarded, compensation for something that's really just not there.
It's not a job.
And so I think people just kind of led with that and just thought that was how things were going to be.
Yeah, it was so much, Ryan, that given during the pandemic. I mean, there were all kinds of grants that happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, not only from the government, but I mean businesses, which was great because a lot of people were really struggling. That was something that they hadn't had a pandemic for 100 years earlier.
Right.
That was the influenza pandemic. But nobody knew what a pandemic. Most people didn't know what it was and what it was going to do. And I experienced that. I was working at a company in North Omaha at the time, and I had probably 300 clients. And so they decided that they were going to give forbearance or something that they were going to just hold up and no payments for like 4 or 5 months so they can get on their feet. And I have to tell you, probably 80% of those individuals did not have their financials in order, so they weren't able to capitalize on anything from the government. So they weren't able to capitalize on the PPP or the EIDL.
Oh, wow.
Because and then some had to pay accountants a lot of money to recreate from receipts.
Yeah.
And so, so that taught a lot of people a lot of things.
Yeah.
And some people just figured that was going to happen forever. And so that's why we don't have a really robust workforce.
Right.
Yeah, we don't. And it doesn't seem like it's going to get there.
I really agree. In increasing the amount that you pay people, you hope to just kind of weed out.
Yeah,
but it seems like that mentality is just kind of stuck with a lot of people. And talk about stagnant and just being in one spot. I don't know. I don't. I feel like I always have to be doing something.
Yes,
I don't understand how people can just sit idly and not do anything.
Well, and the thing is that for me, I mean, there are people assigned to us, right? And so, I mean, there are, we may not know who they are, but there are people assigned to us. There are people that follows us. And if we're not doing anything, they don't get to do or be what they were called to be.
Right.
And that's one thing I always think about all the time. But the thing that I'm really like, I retired from ConAgra Foods back in 2005 or 6, I don't remember what it was. But I didn't retire to go home and rock in a chair.
Oh, yeah.
I retired to stop doing that and do what I really wanted to do, and that was to work more with, women and other clients, business clients. And that's actually what I've been doing since that time. But prior to that, I started the business in 2003 with 2 other partners, and we had like 70 some clients. When in 2008, when the economy went crazy,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we went down to like 20 clients.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad for a couple of years, and then, the 2 partners I had, they were like, they were like younger. They were like, I'm gonna go to out east, and I'm gonna go out west, And I said, I understand. Go do what you need to do to make everything for you. I was on 6 boards. I said, okay, so I'm gonna back up this, and I told the clients, I was like, look, I will continue to serve you all, but my partners have left, so we have to really, if we're going to do this thing, we need to have some things, because I'm not going to hire somebody, it wasn't enough to hire somebody, you know what I mean? And so then so anyway, I started working with a lot of entrepreneurs. For some reason, people were sending entrepreneurs to me, probably because of all the stuff I had done, with other folks. So anyway, make a long story short, so I revamped, I renamed the company, and in 2000, so I kept them. In 2008, I created the Metro Omaha Women's Business Center, founded that, and that kicked off with a lot of women. So it's a nonprofit, and we do a lot of things. We give stuff away, but we have grants that we do every year and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is that I don't know how a person could sit and do nothing, because your body breaks down. Everything starts breaking down when you're not doing anything.
Right, absolutely.
And so I want to keep my mind fresh. So I'm into everything. I'm learning AI,
Right. Oh, I think that's you have to now.
You have to, yeah, you can't. And someone asked me that, I don't know, I'm going to lose, someone said, I'm going to lose my job for AI. And I said, no, you're going to lose your job because you're not learning AI. Mm-hmm. And they was like, well, what do you mean? I said, if you don't learn it, yeah, you probably will. I say, because somebody else who knows AI is going to be doing your job.
Right.
It's not that it's going to be a robot. Everybody have that understanding that it's going to be a robot that's going to take their job. It's not happening. Did you see that commercial with the Russian robot that came out?
I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh, they showed it on Good Morning America this morning. So the robot came out, and you could tell he was, kind of going, and they were kind of standing on the side of him. All of a sudden, he crashed. And they heard him put this black thing up so people couldn't see. The thing fell apart, and it was a Russian. And I thought, you know what? This was great. This was great, because they want to come out so fast with stuff. But they probably haven't tested, and that's what they were saying on Good Morning America. Yeah. Did you test this thing? That thing fell on the floor and fell apart. And they heard him put this black curtain up, and so everybody started laughing at that.
Well, my question to you is, do you think that companies and corporations are trying to quickly put out AIs and robots like that because the workforce is depleting so rapidly?
I would certainly say it's going to have an impact. And I think that a lot of them see that a lot of their systems can be done by AI, but they have to do some strong, programming to make sure that happens. But yeah, they're looking at it, especially a lot of the administrative stuff. They're looking at that, of course, because you know what? They're going to save money. They don't have to pay vacation.
Yeah.
Or sick pay. Or salary.
Right. Quick trip here. For the longest time, they used to have somebody going around with a little motorized mop.
Yeah.
And I was just in there the other day, and I was getting something to drink, and I heard this robotic noise, and I was come around the corner, and it's just this little robot that's moving on the ground mopping stuff, but it talks to you, and it's like a larger version of a Roomba. And I was just sitting, I asked the lady, I said, when did you guys start doing that? She's like, oh, it's kind of like a trial run to see how it goes, because they couldn't keep people, on the payroll.
And not that those things are doing it well.
No, yeah.
But they don't have a choice. And these businesses have to do what they have to do to get to where they're trying to go. Yeah. They're not going to shut down their business but that is the problem right now. Labor is the number one problem with businesses in this United States, for sure. And I think that businesses are tired of people that come in when they want to, go when they want to, and then want to sue you
Oh yeah.
for anything. And so I think people are just on that point, I was sitting in a meeting the other day and someone was saying, what can we put in AI? What can we do? What are some of the systems that we can do? So I was helping some of the departments come up with certain things that they thought could go, be done by AI and not have to worry about it. And, there's a lot. I was saying, everybody came back with a list. I was like, well, really for your department, there's more than this. And they was like, shut up. So, but I think that the thing is that people have to realize that, number one, you are in charge of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. You need to work for yourself. Nobody's going to just give you something. My parents taught us that. I was like, okay, well, whatever. But that's why my work ethic is from the 1950s.
Oh yeah.
And my brothers and sisters are the same way. We all worked hard. We still work hard. And so I don't understand when people say, well, they owe me. Who owes you?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, the entitlement factor that plays in. I mean, the younger generations.
It's really deep with the younger ones. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, what's one thing that you could tell business right now? Because I know we got like a half a second left. But anyway, just one tip that you could give to our businesses that are out there.
If you're just starting, understand that there's going to be learning curves. Understand that you need to ask questions and be confident in yourself, and understand that there may be businesses, and it's one out of maybe 20 or 30 or 40 that are going to excel very rapidly. Yeah. But you're going to make errors. You're going to have small failures. But all those are supposed to be lessons that you learn to grow into the business that you really want, and it's supposed to happen that way.
Yes.
That's the beauty of being a business owner, and it's
I think so.
Just stay disciplined.
Yes.
And be confident in what services or products you're giving and providing, because that's really going to show when you come across people who are seeking those services or products. They're going to know if you're confident.
They want an expert in everything.
Right.
So even if you're not, you need to show it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I appreciate that. So he said some nuggets that got dropped just now. And the only thing I would say is that remember who you are, remember what you can do, and stay in your lane.
Absolutely.
That's always my thing. Stay in your lane. Don't try to, you see somebody else doing something, oh, I can do that. No, stay in the lane that you were given. And really, there's a path for you if you stay there.
Yeah.
And you can grow there. You will, all the things that's supposed to happen will happen for you when you're not trying to do what the other person's doing. Remember, that grass on the other side, it may be green, but there may be snakes in there.
Absolutely.
That's
true.
So stay true to yourself and just be you, and go out and do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
In his name. Thank you, Ryan, for being here.
Oh, I really appreciate it. It's been fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. And we'll see you next time.